Thanks, Palmer. Coach, first, congrats on the win. Second, obviously, Devin does what Devin does, but Javon Carter, 20 points, 6 of 8 for 3. What'd you think of his effort overall, and then of the team getting 5 straight?
Well, JC he's the bulldog of the team. He had not shot the ball well the last few games, and he remarked to one of the coaches that he was going to hit 5 or something like that, and we didn't know, but he's a gamer. The play that tells you about JC was when I think he turned it over, and then he ran down and got the steal off of Bam, and then he comes back down and gets a 3. Like that's who he is. He's a fighter and a battler, and he hit big shots for us. But his communication and energy on defense tonight, when we went to switching 1 through 5, to try to take away some of their cuts and slips, he was probably the best guy doing it tonight. He got the steal in the first half on a back door. He just dropped his hand, and it probably came from playing that frenetic style that they play in West Virginia. That's something that he's used to. So we're grateful for the effort and who he is and his toughness. And this team just keeps playing through ugly segments in the game where we're not making shots or we're not moving the ball the way that we typically do. We just keep playing, and our will is something that I don't take for granted.
All right, Coach, next up is Kellen Olsen with Arizona Sports. He'll be followed by Brendan Clean with Bright Side of the Sun. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Monty, they were switching Adebayo out there on ball screens all game and then fronting DeAndre. What'd you make of how you guys handled that defensive strategy and then DeAndre's play overall in the game?
Well, at first, that's probably the first team that's done that to us, and that's on me for not having our guys ready for that. I anticipated more zone from Spo because they play a ton of zone, and I don't know if they play one possession tonight. So that's on me. Book came, he flashed one time, we got a high-low, and then we started to attack their front on DA a little bit. But that's something that we hadn't seen and something that I did not prepare the guys well.
All right, next up is Brendan Clean with Bright Side of the Sun. He'll be followed by Nick Friedel with ESPN. Go ahead, Brendan.
Jumping back to Javon again there, the decision to keep him in late in the game, obviously he didn't start, but he finished. Just what goes into a decision like that to keep a guy in who has been hot but maybe isn't always in there in those moments?
I mean, you have to trust your gut. I mean, a lot of that's what coaching is sometimes, man. If it works out and you win, you look like you know what you're doing. If you lose, it looks like you don't. That's the way it is. I get that. But he brought a toughness and an energy, his shot making, and I think Willie Green and Mark Bryant would have choke slapped me if I'd have taken him out of the game. So that it comes down to your gut sometimes. You have to trust the guys, and we've had different guys step up off of our bench. Cam and Dario the other night. Tonight it was JC.
All right, Coach, next up is Nick Friedel with ESPN. He'll be followed by Kevin O'Connor with The Ringer.
Monty, there are obviously so many variables that go into this environment and these circumstances. Why do you think your young group has maintained its focus so well over the last few weeks here?
You're really giving me a lot of credit, man. I don't really know. I could give you some coach speak, but I don't know. I just think we have a group that wanted to come here and prove to the world that they were worthy of being here. They heard a lot of the stuff being said, and I think that when people say stuff about you, you want to prove them wrong. So if I had to guess, that would be it. But this is who we are. I mean, we've been this competitive all year. We've been a scrappy team all year long. We play hard. We share the ball. We try to make the right plays. We've tried to stick to our DNA and not get outside of it.
Coach, next up is Kevin O'Connor with The Ringer. He'll be followed by Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Monty. Late in that fourth quarter, Mikal Bridges had a great cut off of a Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton pick and roll. when it comes to opening up things like that, whether it's open threes or back cut opportunities, what is it about the way that Booker 8 and pick and roll is developed that makes him so dangerous? And also, what are the qualities that make Bridges such a really good cutter?
He's got good instincts. If you've ever been to a Jay Wright practice, they teach that stuff. You know, I went one time, I never saw so many jump stops and pivots in my life. You know, they teach fundamentals. And so I'm sure he learned a ton of that from Coach Wright. And then the book and DA pick and roll, I mean, you got a lethal shooter and a guy that can put pressure on the rim, and he's a freak athlete. He can also pop. So it creates a lot of offense for everybody else. But Mikal just made a great play. You're so focused on DA diving. He's done that from time to time this year where he slashed behind the defense and gotten the dunk.
Coach, next up is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. He'll be followed by Kellen Olsen with Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Coach, I know you said you don't want to take too much credit for what's happening, but these next 24 hours, when you know you got a back-to-back coming up, you play a lot of games and here in this stretch. What's these next 24 hours going to be like, or what needs to happen to help you better prepare or best prepare for the back-to-back coming up?
Well, we haven't deviated from our plan. We've always said we're going to do the next right thing, and that's, you know, tomorrow's film session. I think we got 3 and 4 coming up, so we got to be smart with our legs. And I've talked to the guys all this whole trip about, you know, preparation, hydration, sleep, food, getting off their feet, and we got to adhere to that. But we're going to keep the same focus. The next thing we're looking at right now is the focus in our next film session. And then it'll be the shoot around or walk through, whatever that is, and then we'll take the next thing as it comes. But we know, you know, the goals that we've had or have, but we got to look at the next thing. We want to do the next thing properly.
All right, Coach, and our final question comes from Kellen Olsen with Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Monty. DeAndre had a couple of possessions where he was out of place and a couple of possessions where he was under the basket in the right spot and got the shot out. Just what were your overall thoughts on his play today?
I like DA's his ability to change the game. When we switched 1 through 5 to have a guy that can guard, you know, guards. He got the one foul on the three-point shot at the end, but other than that, I thought he did a really good job of switching out onto smaller players and forcing those guys to shoot tough shots. And then offensively, he was just a byproduct of a lot of penetration and just being in the right place at the right time. You know, he and Bam are a lot alike. You know, 2 big, strong, athletic bigs. You know, those guys were beating each other up all night, and thankfully we got the win.
Thank you very much for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Devin.
Oh.
We're going to get started with a question from Taylor Rooks with Bleacher Report. She'll be followed by Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. Go ahead, Taylor.
Hey, Devin. First off, nice hoodie.
Thank you.
Secondly, what do you think that NBA fans thought about the Suns before the bubble? And what do they think about the Suns now?
I mean, you'd have to ask around. You know, we said coming into this that, you know, we were fine with being the under-radar team. You know, we were going to come in here and work hard and try to get wins. And, you know, so far so good. So we've had the right approach. I keep saying approach every interview I do because the day we got down here, it's been high-level competitiveness and, you know, just sharp as we've been.
All right, Devin, next up is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. He'll be followed by Kellen Olsen with Arizona Sports. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thanks, Palmer. Devin, just curious in terms of Javon Carter, and I know you looked for him and found him in that corner for 3, but how huge was he tonight for you guys?
I mean, not just that. Obviously, that was a big part of his game, but, you know, intensity he brings, the communication he brings. If there's any part in the game where we feel our energy dying down at some point, JC will be the first to communicate that and let everybody know. So obviously you see the 5 threes he made, but he did other things tonight that, you know, changed our mentality and changed how we were playing. that helps a lot defensively.
All right, Devin, next up is Kellen Olsen with Arizona Sports. He'll be followed by Lucas Nepomuceno of Cafe Belgrado in Brazil. Go ahead, Kellen.
Hey, Devin, Miami's been blitzing you like that for a couple of years now, but they added a new wrinkle with Bam switching on to you, and then they're fronting DA. How did you rate the way you guys took advantage of the aggressive defensive tweaks that they made?
I mean, like you said, we made adjustments. I think that slowed down our pace in the first half, and we talked about it at halftime. So, that's a real talented team over there. Bam's an unbelievable player. His ability to guard multiple positions, has put him in that spot. But, we have to figure some things out. If teams are switching like that, find ways to punish them.
All right, next up is Lucas Nepomuceno of Cafe Belgrado. He'll be followed by Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. Go ahead, Lucas.
Thank you. Hi, Devin. Congratulations on the win. When the team needed, you scored a ton of points. Later in the game, you were dishing and fighting the open man. Then you closed out the game. You have been great for several seasons now, but do you feel that you reached a different level in Orlando?
What was the last part of that question?
You have been great for several seasons now, but do you feel that you reached a different level in Orlando?
Not really. Honestly, I approach the game the same way every time. I think the difference is winning the games. And, we're doing it as a collective group. It's not just me. It's not just JC say tonight. It's all the way down the bench. And, our culture's here and we're following it. So, that's what's helped us out a lot, is having someone to back us up. And that's just our culture, communication, and, the approach that we're taking.
All right, Devin, next up is actually going to be Nick Friedel from ESPN. He'll then be followed by Dwayne Rankin. Go ahead, Nick.
Devin, Monty was just saying that he thinks one of the reasons the focus has been so strong in the bubble is because you guys heard what people were saying coming into it. How much of that did you think the group used as motivation to prove to everybody that you guys could play at this kind of level consistently?
I think this is just kind of a turning point for us. We had stretches in the season where we played very well, but what happens to a young team, throughout the season, you have your ups and downs. I think if we stay consistent and stick with our principles, like I talked about, the communication on defense, and just get more comfortable in these situations of close games and meaningful games that matter for us.
All right, next up is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. He'll be followed by David Cinalato with La Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Devin, I know you heard over the years, whether it's former NBA players, current NBA players, talking about you saying, hey, look, Devin needs to leave Phoenix so he can have a chance to win. Draymond was the latest to do that. How satisfying is it to know that, hey, I'm with this team, and now we're playing our best basketball, and everyone's seeing it?
I feel like that's important, for this organization, for the fans that's stuck by us for this long, and still do so. Like I said, since I've been in Phoenix, we haven't had the win success that we have, but the support's been there. And this is what we owe. This is what we owe to the fans. We owe to the organization. It's been a long time for us, and I think this bubble opportunity was big for us, and we're taking advantage of it.
All right, switching up the order a little bit, we're going to go to Tressa Tudrick with Channel 3, Channel 5. She'll then be followed by Kevin O'Connor with The Ringer. Go ahead, Tressa.
Hi, Devin. Congratulations. The relief from the bench has been a huge help for you guys as starters. Is this a sign that this young Suns team is maturing in the right direction and that you trust them to take the shot when they're open?
Yeah, I always trust my teammates. I try to make the right play every down, right play every time down. But this is, like I said, this is good for us. We've had the right mindset from day one. I think it started in training camp. Or started before we even got to Orlando, our workouts in Phoenix. We have a lot of hoopers on this team, that love the game and know the game. In an environment like this, I feel like, that's why we're having a lot of success.
All right, Devin, the final two questions are going to come from Kevin O'Connor with The Ringer and then David Cinalato with La Gazzetta dello Sport. Go ahead, Kevin.
Devin, early in the first quarter, you had a bucket in transition with a right to left crossover, then a Euro step into a righty layup off your right foot. And I felt like that play was a great example of how much you've mastered your handle. What's your assessment of how your handle has developed over the years, and how has that opened up new dimensions to your entire game?
I'd say just being in the situations that I've been in, and ability to be thrown in the fire as a young player and have a chance to develop. So I had to work on part of my game, a lot of it actually, and being in those situations and getting the experience on the court as a young player and getting to play through mistakes gave me the ability for my game to reach new heights. So, still in work in progress. It's obviously a game that you can't perfect, but you can work hard doing so.
All right, Devin, and the final question comes from David Chinalato with La Gazzetta dello Sport. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Devin, you guys are 5-0 now. What do you think is your ceiling? You're aiming for 8-0, or you're trying to build something better for next year?
I'd say a little bit of both, but we're focused on one game at a time. That's been our mindset throughout. I haven't been doing anything but focusing on our next opponent, and I think everybody in this locker room can attest to that. So we got OKC next, and that's our main focus right now. Obviously, we know we have 3 games left, and we try to win every game, but OKC is our main objective right now.